Hi, everybody. Welcome to the introduction to the Hearts of Gold Veteran Client Training. I'm going to be walking you through the introduction and some of the initial things you need to know to get started in the process. First of all, welcome. We are so glad to have you here, and we hope that you are ready to learn and enjoy all your time with us. First, before we get started into the rest of the information, if you haven't already, please go ahead and pause this video and go back to your syllabus and click on the link to the Service Dog Save Lives video. We do want you to watch that. It's important, but also please be aware that there might be some triggering events in that video. There's some loud sounds about that are related to combat and things like that. So just be prepared. Maybe turn the volume down at first until you're ready for that. So, about Hearts of Gold, we were founded in 2007 by Dr. Mead. She had a program before that, and the person that was doing the dog training ended up moving out of the state, and so she was trying to keep it going. And we ended up meeting, and the rest is history. Hearts of Gold is a program that is a collaboration between West Virginia University and the nonprofit, the Human Animal Bond. We are located in Morgantown, as you know. We have several courses offered here at WVU. So, our main goal in the beginning was to train trainers. So, there's a need for service dogs. Also, I'm sure you all are aware of that. So, we were hoping to increase the supply by training students here at WVU how to train service dogs for those in need. We also focus on research, education, and outreach, in addition to focusing on training dogs to help you all. We have a prison program here in Morgantown at the Federal Correction Institution in Morgantown on Greenback Road. We started that program in 2013. Our inmates there are trained the same skills that our college students are trained. The dogs actually go there about 1 year of age for their advanced skill training. So once we identify the advanced skills they're going to need to serve their veterans, then the inmates are tasked with doing that intensive training. So Hearts of Gold only trains dogs for mobility and psychiatric disabilities, and we are currently only placing dogs with veterans. So the kind of dogs that we have has varied over the years. We've tried rescue dogs, we've tried all sorts of different kinds of breeds, and we've kind of settled on golden and Labrador retrievers. We know from some research that goldens and labs and mixes between those two breeds tend to be the most successful in service work, and we have found the same in our experience. Most of our dogs are acquired through donation, purchase, and we've recently, in the past few years, have started our own in-house breeding where we are breeding English Labradors. So most of the dogs that you guys will meet, not most of them, all of them, will be English Labradors. They are going to be housed with either community fosters, usually from puppyhood to about a year old. And then if they're selected to continue at 1 year of age, they will go to our prison program in Morgantown. They are trained by our professional staff trainers. Fosters do some training. The students that are in the WVU classes do some training. We also have teaching assistants that have graduated from the courses that stay on and help us with some of the training. And then the inmate trainers, of course. So you are basically at the client training, the online portion of the client training. So that's indicated with the you are here in bold in this list. So you've already gone through the application, which, as you know, is pretty intense. The reference checks, so you submit some references with your application. So we do reference checks. Then our application review committee meets and goes over the applications and selects the ones that we think are a good fit for our program. If you make it through that meeting, then you are invited for in-person interviews and occupational therapy assessments. So the fact that you're here watching this video means that you've made it through all of those things. So now you are going to complete this online training, and I'm going to, towards the end of this presentation, explain to you more about how to work through the syllabus. It's pretty easy, but I just want to make sure that I'm covering how to work through it. And then you will eventually have an in-home evaluation, especially if you have another dog or pet in your home. We want to make sure that we are meeting the other pet to ensure that we have an appropriate match for you with the service dog. As long as all of these things go well, you will be invited to our in-person 2-week intensive boot camp that we're anticipating will be around March sometime. And that is from Monday through Friday. We're thinking probably around 6 hours a day or so. And then you'll have the weekends off. During this boot camp, you will be meeting and working with all of the available dogs. And after the first week, we're hoping to have a guess at which dog would be a good match for you. And you would take that dog home with you for the trial weekend. If you are a good distance away, your trial weekend may be spent here in a hotel. So that would be your home for the weekend. After the trial weekend, you'll come back to the facility for the second week of the boot camp. Assuming everything is good and that is a good match, we'll continue on with training for that second week. That will be followed by the testing and the official placement and partial transfer of ownership, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So you'll hear this over and over and over and over again. We'll keep saying it. It might take time for an appropriate match to be found. The first dog you try might not work out. We certainly in the past have had people make it through the entire process, take a dog home at the end of the 2 weeks boot camp, and find out that it's just not the right match for them and it didn't work out. Hearts of Gold does maintain partial ownership of the dog. So even if the placement works and we do that partial transfer of ownership, you pass all the tests, we still maintain partial ownership. That just means if you decide that, that it's not working out, that the dog comes back to us. And in the contract that you'll sign, you say that you agree to not just give the dog away or sell it to somebody else. It always would be returned to us. We also reserve the right to take the dog back if we think, the dog's in danger or the dog's putting someone else in danger. We do require yearly recertification, so that final test that you go through with the dog will be required yearly. Um, Also important to note that we train the dogs to about 80%, but part of the training for you is that you need to know how to train the dog as well. Because once you get the dog, there's going to be things that you need or that the dog is not quite doing the way that you need them to do, that you're going to need to know how to fine tune. Also, dog training continues for life. So a dog is an animal. It's not like getting an appliance that, just sits in the corner. Every interaction you have with the service dog has the potential to impact its behavior. And so we want to make sure that you're trained to understand how your behavior can change the behavior of the dog so that you're able to keep the dog's training at the level that it needs to be to maintain its service dog status. So during the trial weekend, again, this happens after we think we have a good match for you after that first week of the intensive boot camp. You will spend 2 to 4 days with the dog at your home or at the hotel, depending on your situation. There's no public access granted, so we don't want you taking the dog to restaurants or out to the movies, things like that. We really want you to be focused on spending time with the dog. And then after you come back from that trial weekend, we'll meet to discuss how it went and decide what to do next. So when we meet afterwards, it'll either be, I don't think that really worked. I'm just not feeling like matched or bonded to that dog. Or yes, I really like the dog. I think it worked well. I think I want to continue on, and then we'll move forward with the placement process. Again, some tips for the trial weekend. Keep the first few days calm, use meal times to bond with the dog, avoid stressors, and relax and get to know each other. So we're going to go over this again in a lot of detail before you take the dog home, but this is just to give you an idea of what's coming. So I already mentioned a little bit about the contract, the transfer of ownership contract once you are placed with your dog. Again, all of this stuff will be covered in the future. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what's coming up in the future, potentially for you, assuming that the process goes well and you're matched with a dog. Um, so again, the contract states that if the placement doesn't work out, or if you want to get rid of the dog for any reason, that the dog would always come back to us. In the contract, you agree to veterinary care, vaccines, and monthly medications. You also agree to provide exercise and some off-leash time for the dog. You agree to appropriate grooming as needed. Depending on the dog breed. So, doodles and poodles require much more grooming than, say, a lab. Labs tend to require much less grooming. We'll talk a lot more about grooming needs and requirements and even how to do some of the grooming stuff on your own in class. We also require in the contract that you seek counseling for the end of the life of the service dog. This is a really challenging transition for most people. So we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself during that process. So you do agree to seek counseling when that time comes. Um, be thinking about a successor dog. We say it's going to take probably a couple years potentially. So most service dogs are going to retire around 7 or 8 years of age. And so you want to start thinking about the successor dog if you're interested in getting a successor dog or another service dog. When the dog is around 5, you want to start thinking about it and preparing, going through that process. We also, of course, have a harmless clause that you wouldn't hold Hearts of Gold or WVU liable if the dog damages property or causes harm while in your care. When we do the yearly recertification, we also might have updates to the contracts. So each year we will have you re-sign another contract. Um, just keep in mind we are here to help you. There's not going to be anything in those contracts that is meant to cause you harm. We want to place service dogs with you. We don't want to take them from you. So we've had clients in the past that get really worried that we're going to take the dog away. I mean, we reserve the right to do that in extreme situations, but that's not something that we want to do. We're going to do our best to work with you as much as we can to prevent that from happening. So just know that we are on your side. We're not here to cause harm. In fact, we're here for the opposite to help you. So try not to get upset about the fact that there might be some minor changes to the contracts every year. And you can always decide if you don't like something in the contract, not to sign it. That's your right as well. So next up, I want to go over the syllabus just quickly. The next thing you're going to do is watch the Service Dog Save Lives video if you haven't done that already. I'm going to go ahead and click out of this. and pull up the syllabus. Okay, so you can see the syllabus now. I'm just going to scroll down to, I'm assuming you guys can read all of these things. I'm going to just skip down to where the schedule is and go over this really quick. So you notice there are no dates on here. So this is go at your own pace, where we give you plenty of time to work through this material. And it's mostly all videos. So we have the topic in this column, the first column, and then there's readings assigned in the second column. Most of the readings have video audio recording of it. This first one doesn't, unfortunately, so you'll have to do the reading for that one. This textbook is Birch and Bailey, How Dogs Learn. So when it says B&B, that is what it's referring to. And I believe that's listed, it should be listed up here. Yes, Birch and Bailey, How Dogs Learn. So you can order that book here. They also, if you order it from Amazon, they also have a DVD version of it. So if you prefer to have it read to you, you can order the audio version. And then you wouldn't even need these videos that we put together. So there's the reading, and then this is this PowerPoint that we're doing now. And so that would be the link to this video. So you got here. Um, and so basically what you'll do is just work through the schedule by clicking on the video links where they exist. So after this, you would go down to Service Dog Save Lives video, watch that. When that's over, you go down to Canine Good Citizen video and watch that, and you kind of work from left to right. So next would be rules and regulations, the How Dogs Learn text chapter 3, and that will read it to you. If you want, you can click on that and let it read it to you. And then you will come over here to this PowerPoint, click on that. That'll take you to YouTube to a video of my face talking to you again. So that's how you work through the syllabus. Once you get down here where it has command videos, that's going to be a little bit different because now the topics switch from actual topics to commands. So all the commands over here will be shown in the command videos. So basically that's going to be a trainer and a dog showing you what the commands look like. That's just going to give you a warm up kind of so that you are exposed to what all of our commands are. And then when you come in for the 2-week boot camp, we're going to go over in detail how to train them, what to do if the dog doesn't do it, et cetera, all of those things. So we'll go into much more detail once we have you in person. Okay, I think that is it for today. So if there is any questions, you can always shoot me an email. My email address is up here on the syllabus. So feel free to email me at any time with any questions, and I'll see you in the next PowerPoint presentation. I hope you guys have a great day. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.